Hello everyone, now we are going to discuss about blood-brain barrier. The concept of blood-brain barrier was introduced by Paul Ehrlich to explain his observation that intravenously injected dye, it stained most of the tissues and yet the brain remained unstained. And this observation showed the existence of a barrier that protects the brain. And this barrier is nothing but the blood-brain barrier. Now coming to the capillaries of brain and spinal cord, they are different in their permeability characteristics from those found in the rest of the body. And the brain capillaries are composed of endothelial cells which are joined to one another by continuous tight intracellular junctions comprising what is called as blood-brain barrier. The endothelial cells, they have tight intracellular junctions which comprise the blood-brain barrier. In addition to the tight endothelial cells, the star-shaped cells called astrocytes are found in large numbers adjacent to the blood vessel, and these cells, they have a fine branching processes called foot processes, and these foot processes of astrocytes, they form a sleeve around the blood vessels. The foot processes of astrocytes, they form a sleeve around the blood vessels, and this means that the blood is separated from the neurons by capillary wall and a layer of astrocyte foot processes and the pericytes of the basement membrane, and all these things altogether they constitute the blood-brain barrier. Now this is the schematic representation. As we have discussed, the blood-brain barrier is composed of tight endothelial cells, the pericytes in the basement membrane, and the foot processes of astrocytes. Astrocytes are the star-shaped cells, and these foot processes of the astrocytes, they form a sleeve around the blood vessels. And all together, the tight endothelial cells, the pericytes in the basement membrane, and the star-shaped astrocytes, all together they comprise the blood-brain barrier. The endothelial cells, the pericytes in the basement membrane, and the star-shaped astrocytes, they comprise the highly selective blood-brain barrier. And for a drug molecule to penetrate the blood-brain barrier, the major characteristic should be, it should be highly lipophilic. Whenever the drugs are which are highly lipophilic, they easily penetrate the blood-brain barrier. And in addition to the highly lipophilic drugs, gases such as carbon dioxide and oxygen, substances such as alcohol, barbiturates and glucose, all these molecules, they readily cross the highly selective blood-brain barrier. Now, in order to penetrate the blood-brain barrier, the molecules whose molecular weight is less than 700 Daltons and which are highly lipophilic in nature, these molecules, they penetrate the blood-brain barrier by passive diffusion through the lipoidal membrane. And similarly, certain molecules like glucose and amino acids, they employ the active transport processes to penetrate the blood-brain barrier. And as a result, the molecules which are structurally similar to amino acids, they can also cross the blood-brain barrier. Now coming to the active transport processes, the active transport processes are both selective and directional. That is, some molecules they enter the brain and some molecules they exit from the brain. And molecules such as large amino acids and glucose, they are transported into the brain. Whereas molecules such as glycine, which is the smallest amino acid, it is transported out of the brain into the blood. Molecules such as glucose, they are transported into the brain, whereas molecules such as glycine, they are transported out of the brain. So this is nothing but directional. Why? The neurons have a constant requirement of glucose and that must be met irrespective of the concentration in the blood and ECF. For that reasons, the glucose molecules are allowed to enter the brain. Whereas in contrast, the glycine is a neurotransmitter and its concentration in the neural tissue must be kept low, much lower than in the circulating blood. For that reason, the glycine molecules are transported out of the brain. Now coming to the lipophilicity and the blood-brain barrier. As we have discussed earlier, highly lipophilic drugs, they readily cross the blood-brain barrier. For example, thiopental is highly effective and it is highly lipophilic, that its effective partition coefficient is 50 times more than the drugs such as pentobarbital, and hence it readily crosses the blood-brain barrier. But most of the antibiotics which are polar water soluble and are ionized at the plasma pH, they do not cross the blood-brain barrier under normal conditions. I repeat, most of the antibiotics which are polar and are ionized at the plasma pH, they do not cross the blood-brain barrier under normal conditions. But there are certain pathological conditions which aid in the entry of antibiotics such as penicillin into the blood-brain barrier that we will be discussing further. Now coming to the selective permeability of blood-brain barrier. The blood-brain barrier, it has selective permeability, that is it allows only few molecules whereas it rejects majority of the molecules, and this may limit the treatment of drugs such as antibiotics, chemotherapeutic agents and the polar drugs. And in order to overcome these limitations, several approaches have been employed, such as prodrug approach, employing permeation enhancers like dimethyl sulfoxide DMSO, osmotic disruption of blood-brain barrier, and the use of dihydroxypyridine redox systems as drug carriers to the brain. These are some of the approaches which are employed to overcome the permeability limitation of blood-brain barrier in order to treat brain. Now coming to the prodrug approach. If we consider Parkinson's is a disease that is associated with the depletion of dopamine in the brain. And usually the dopamine cannot cross the blood-brain barrier. And this inability of the dopamine to cross the blood-brain barrier, it restricts the use of dopamine in the treatment of Parkinson's disease. For that reason, a precursor of dopamine, that is levodopa. Levodopa is a prodrug which is used in the treatment of Parkinson's. It is a precursor of dopamine. It is employed in the treatment of Parkinson's. This levodopa that readily penetrates the blood-brain barrier and it is metabolized to dopamine once it enters the brain. And similarly, the dihydropyridine redox systems, they are employed when, in case of polar drugs, the lipid soluble dihydropyridine is linked as a carrier to the polar drug to form a prodrug that readily crosses the blood-brain barrier. The lipid soluble dihydropyridine is linked as a carrier to the polar drug to form a prodrug that readily crosses the blood-brain barrier. And in the brain, the CNS enzymes, they oxidize the dihydroxypyridine moiety to polar pyridinium ion, and this ion, it cannot diffuse back out of the brain. As a result, the drug gets trapped in the CNS. and such a redox system has been employed to deliver steroidal drugs to the brain. This approach is employed to deliver the steroidal drugs to the brain. Now, coming to the conditions in which the permeability of the blood-brain barrier may vary. One of the conditions where the blood-brain barrier may be disrupted is inflammation. In conditions such as inflammation, the blood-brain barrier is disrupted and this leads to the entry of certain drugs to brain which are usually restricted. Example is penicillin. Penicillin molecules or penicillin antibiotic usually does not cross blood-brain barrier, but it may penetrate the blood-brain barrier under conditions such as inflammation. And whenever we treat bacterial meningitis, in order to treat bacterial meningitis, penicillin drug is given intravenously instead of intrathecally. Intrathecally means administration via spinal cord. The penicillin is drug in order to treat bacterial meningitis. Penicillin drug is given intravenously instead of intrathecally, as bacterial meningitis is associated with intense inflammation and the blood-brain barrier may be disrupted, and this may lead to large doses of penicillin entering the brain, which may result in the toxicity. Now, coming to the conditions where the blood-brain barrier is leaky. As we have discussed earlier, pathological conditions such as inflammation, it may disrupt the blood-brain barrier. And similarly, peptides such as bradykinin and encephalins, they increase the permeability of blood-brain barrier, and this approach is tried to employ in the chemotherapy in order to aid the administration of drugs. And similarly, in conditions such as extreme stress, the blood-brain barrier may be disrupted, and usually pyridostigmine is a drug which acts peripherally, but in case of extreme stress, pyridostigmine, it may cross the blood-brain barrier. And similarly, chemoreceptor trigger zone is a region in which the blood-brain barrier is not prominent. For that reason, domperidone is a drug. This drug is employed to treat the nausea caused by apomorphine, and this drug, it usually does not cross the blood-brain barrier, but it can have an access to chemoreceptor trigger zone. Domperidone usually does not cross the blood-brain barrier, but it can have access to chemoreceptor trigger zone because in this region the blood-brain barrier is not prominent or it is leaky. So the conditions such as inflammation and usually peptides such as bradykinin and encephalins, they increase the permeability of blood-brain barrier, and extreme stress, and also in the region of chemoreceptor trigger zone, the blood-brain barriers are leaky. Now coming to the locations where blood-brain barrier is less prominent and absent. Blood-brain barrier is less prominent and absent in hypothalamus, pineal gland, pituitary gland, and the membranous root of diencephalon and medulla. By this, we complete the blood-brain barrier. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for further videos on biopharmaceutics.